3 years after Jeremy Bamber went to prison, a wealthy middle-aged couple was savagely shot dead in their California mansion. Just after midnight, on the 20th of August 1989, police rushed to a mansion in Beverly Hills after receiving an hysterical 911 call. Inside, they found the bodies of Jose and Kitty Menendez. Both had been killed with several close-range blasts from a shotgun. At first, it looked like a particularly vicious mob hit.
I've been in this business for over 33 years, and I've heard of very few murders that were more savage than this one was.
4 months later, 21-year-old Lyle and 19-year-old Eric Menendez were arrested and charged with the brutal murder of their parents. They claimed that after years of physical and mental abuse, they had finally snapped and killed the couple in self-defense. The trial of the Menendez brothers did not start until 4 years later. The prosecution claimed that far from killing their parents in self-defense, the real motive was a $14 million inheritance. Jose Menendez arrived in America in 1960 at the age of 16, after his family had left Cuba. He went on to become an accountant and rapidly rose through the business world. He eventually held a senior position with Carolco, a major film production company in California. Life was good for the Menendez family. They enjoyed an enviable lifestyle with the best money could buy. Tennis coach Al Hollander remembered Jose's ambitions for his sons.
Dad was pretty aggressive. He wanted to see results. He wanted to see them doing very well when they were working with me. Mom's personality was very different. Mom was sweet and soft and gentle.
Jose's dream suffered a setback when Lyle, the oldest, was suspended from Princeton for cheating. Lyle resented his father's hold on him and his brother. After watching a television miniseries, The Billionaire Boys Club, which featured a family murder, Lyle and Eric hatched a plot to kill their own parents. They wanted to get their hands on the money. On the 20th of August 1989, Lyle and Eric Menendez called the police to report they'd arrived at the house to find their parents dead. The killings had taken place in the television room as they watched a film. Even hardened police officers were shocked at the carnage. The post-mortem showed that the couple had been literally shot to pieces. They had died in a merciless frenzy of fire as guns were loaded and reloaded 14 times. Everyone was appalled at the murder, including film star Sylvester Stallone, who had worked with Jose.
I mean, he was a true cornerstone of this company, which I love.
As Jose and Kitty Menendez were laid to rest, the police were determined to catch their brutal killers. At first, there was absolutely nothing to connect the brothers with the murders, and therefore no good reason why they shouldn't come into their inheritance. Lyle, in particular, began spending money as fast as he could. One of his first purchases was a Porsche sports car. Then he invested thousands of dollars in real estate. He also loved buying fancy clothes.
Lyle would come in and instead of buying 1 or 2 shirts, he would buy 6. He would buy everything.
Time went by. The brothers began to feel guilty about what they'd done. They visited a psychotherapist whose tapes were later seized by the police. Glenn Stevens, a friend, recalled when things started going wrong.
Went on the spending spree and a little bit and decided to go into business and wanted to start with his life right away and just put that behind him. And Eric was just dwelling on it, and every day would break down into tears.
As their investigation progressed, the police realized that Eric and Lyle Menendez were the obvious culprits. They had both motive and opportunity. In March 1990, 7 months after the murders, Lyle and Glenn Stevens drove away from the Menendez family mansion.
And all of a sudden, 2, 3, 4 guys jump out of the van, pull guns, and we're surrounded in like 2 perimeters, I think it was, of police. And there must have been 25, 30 policemen there.
A few days after Lyle's arrest, Eric turned himself in. They were both charged with the murder of their parents. It would be another 3 years before the brothers faced trial. They each admitted killing their parents, but pleaded it had been a last resort after a lifetime of abuse. The jury could not decide whether they were victims or vicious killers and failed to reach a verdict. The judge declared a mistrial. A neighbor gave her view of the brothers' characters.
The boys were great, neat kids, well-behaved, polite. I never knew them to be otherwise. Full of fun, loved their parents.
A second trial started in Los Angeles on the 23rd of August 1995, lasted 23 weeks and involved 64 witnesses. The brothers were found guilty of first-degree murder. Judge Stanley Weisberg, who had also presided over the first trial, sentenced them to life with no possibility of parole. Sadly, there have always been people prepared to kill their relatives for money. Sidney Fox strangled his mother and pretended she died in a fire. Stephen Benson rigged his mother's car with a deadly pipe bomb. Jeremy Bamber massacred his family and tried to pin the blame on his sister. The Menendez brothers cut their parents down in a hail of shotgun fire, then claimed it was self-defense after a lifetime of abuse.